Okay, let's do a Mortatio run. Let's not talk about copyright. Where are we going? Mad Forest Inlaid Library. Let's go Mad Forest. Even if I die. I just want to do different things. Let's see. Grab this. Okay, so we're going to try and go for a run that specifically only uses weapons that don't evolve. I don't think I can get away with perks that don't evolve just because the number are pretty important. But so we want the lightning ring, we want the Santa water, we want the rune tracer, we want the lancet. Shoot. I think we might, oh, and maybe the pentagram. Yeah, did they make the clock lancet better? I love the idea of it, but it was a bit weak. Max it out, especially with the book, and it gets pretty good. Laurel counts as a weapon. Ah, yeah, that's another one. I'm a little question mark on whether or not I like the laurel. I wish the laurel was like a temporary health thing instead. Okay. This is gonna get really hard. Maybe. Maybe not. It might actually be a lot easier than I think it is. Yeah, I gotta really leverage the Santa water to the fullest extent here. Candelabrador? Yeah, because I think that makes the bones bigger. It's at least super helpful when it comes to the lightning ring. Once we get the lightning ring AoE upgrade. Feel as similar to the laurel as I do the armor. Don't think it's strong enough to really matter. I wish that the... You know, honestly, the laurel and armor should actually combine together. Go for the bone. I think the laurel and the armor should combine together and give you like a spike field or a repulsor. Or, I mean, hell, even a slowing field. The closer they get to you, the slower they move. Or like the more resistance they have. Evolution that combines laurel and garlic. While it's up, so while it's up, it absorbs damage, and then when it drops, it explodes. That, yeah, that'd actually be pretty neat. Let's grab the lightning ring, because the lightning ring upgrade is real big. Santa water is great later. Oof. Okay, stay out of the way of that. Grab all of these. I'm not in a happy spot necessarily. We'll get there. Oh, I can't take the pigeons now. That's a weird feeling. I was assuming they'd actually be one of the last ones to get the evolution, but no. Just super Deca Pigeon is great. Okay. Grab those. Do I care for Clover? Not really, actually. Yeah, slowness is the only cliche perk not available in this game. Much to my general surprise, actually. I really would have expected... Well, there is the clock lancet, but that's more of a stun. Let's see, can still take one bird. Nope. Those are items that evolve. I am picking only weapons that cannot evolve, period. This is the true no evolution run. Will I pull it off? I don't actually know, but I'm going to do it anyway because sure, why not? I'm here. Okay. I can't even pick the garlic anymore. I'm not actually complaining about this. I'm mostly just reacting on... I've had this build specifically in my head for the last couple of days. Somebody had suggested a no evolution run to me. And I was like, oh, that would actually be like a really neat idea. I should give that a shot. And then it just like... Then the game said no. And it's fine. I'll hopefully be okay. What I'm probably going to end up wanting to do is get the empty tome as fast as possible, and then just effectively follow the clock pattern to live. Alright, there we go. Because, yeah, it works mostly well. It'll be better once it's got a bigger AoE and a couple other things. There we go. Okay. It's gonna take some time, but we will be good. There's the bounce. Go Santa water at this point? No, because maxing out Lightning Ring actually gets pretty damn strong. I'm actually really curious about this, just to see, you know, if all weapons are kind of made roughly equal, which of the kind of high volume AoEs, non-evolved AoEs, which one's going to do the most amount of damage? Aha! You thought you could trap me! No, I say! Eat bouncing bows. Wow, these guys are tough. There's the one downside to this build. Going to the forest might not actually be that wise. There's a lot of tough suckers here. Also have, like, no intentional way of killing anything. I cannot control myself. Or, I cannot control where I'm aiming. Let's keep, leveling the bones just because. The more I level them, the stronger they get. Okay, I don't actually want to grab the stopwatch. It doesn't really help me. It does if I'm in trouble, but otherwise it's just kind of a nuisance. Okay. Absolutely need Rune Tracer, Spinach, and Duplicator. Yup. And the Empty Tome. I think actually the Empty Tome is kind of the sleeper champion, because damage is big, especially for these like tankier dudes. But a lot of enemies just get insta-gibbed by anything I'm fighting. It's just the main thing is I'm not putting out enough firepower. There we go. I'm kind of hoping we can find some more of that spicy chili brick. You absolute turd. Just... Well, no true no evolution run on this one. What do we think? I'm 6 minutes in. Do we start over? Or do we just single bird? Nah. I'd rather, if I'm picking, like, if I'm being forced down this route, then I'd rather go the cross. I almost wish some of these challenge runs would almost be supported by, like, a mutator. Technically the bird. No, not technically the bird. The bird absolutely evolves now. Pishon does not evolve, it ascends. I'd honestly actually say the Pishon evolution is like a step above regular evolutions. Like, the bird is the most disqualified thing at this point. In the future, most weapons will evolve. I'm pretty sure all of them will. Let's see. Clock Lancet. I want to keep focusing on the bone for a little bit. I really want the Rune Tracer more than anything else. I was really hoping to lock in my build before it stopped me, but no dice. There we go. Okay. Do I want the Attract Orb? Yes, actually. That's probably going to save me a considerable amount of grief. I'd like some of the other things just from a damage perspective, but like, I'm not going to level if I can't get the goods. Let's see. Crown, Pumarola, Santa water, clover, Especially cannot pick clover. I'm stuck if I do. There we go. On Bone Evolutionist summon a big bone bro. Oh man, that'd be really funny if it was just like a stand that throws bones at things. Let's see. Empty tome, empty tome. What is the weirdest thing anyone's ever asked you to draw? Not me, but Shell had to once draw like Misty and a Magikarp kissing, which was kind of weird. The thing is, I didn't really do a whole lot of commissions. I did it one year, made like $1,000 from an anime Boston where people were just like really into League of Legends, and I was an avid beta player at the time, and so I was just like, shit, yeah, I can draw all of these League of Legends characters. And then after that weekend, I was like, I'm never doing this again. It was 100% worth it, but I'm sick of drawing for other people. I don't remember that weekend because I was just drawing non-stop. And yeah, trying to cut down on fan art sales. Fan art is fun, but if we want to go back to the copyright thing, like, fan art is dubious at best. There we go. Well, it's mostly working. Where's my Lancet? Ooh. There we go. Let's grab some chicken. Grab some chickies. There we go. Fan art exists because companies let it. And because it's hard to stop. You know, you'd have to... Well, okay, so there's two issues with fan art. One, it's hard to stop just because people will keep doing it regardless of whether or not you tell them to. And so, like, what you could do is kind of purge it from social media, which, like, okay, that would work. But the main reason why you don't want to do it is because a lot of fans would get hella mad if you suddenly said, hey, fan art is no longer acceptable of, like, you cannot draw anime fan art. And, like, you would probably lose a chunk of fans. And so it's kind of one of those where it's like, I'm sure these companies would rather people just, you know, buy the merch and watch the shows and don't do anything more than that. But at the same time, it's kind of one of those where it's like, letting it happen is more beneficial than trying to stop it. It does depend a little bit, though. So there's a difference between making fan art and then selling it. Because I think it's a lot more defensible from a lot of perspectives to sit down and say, like, no, you can't sell fan art. So I remember one of the big Undertale policies that people were kind of lightly mad about was, oh, no, it was Undertale and maybe Homestuck, maybe also Homestuck. Homestuck had a lot of, like, fan sales as well. But I know Undertale specifically had the policy of, no, you cannot sell fan art. Probably should grab that. And I know Among Us has that policy, and I want to say Critical Role is kind of stepping in to have that policy now. And it's one of those where to say, like, no fan art, now that's kind of tough. But to say, hey, you can't, like, put up a storefront selling Among Us fan art or something like that, I think that's a little bit more acceptable. Mainly just because, like, a lot of especially smaller developers or studios are on a bit more of a shoestring budget, and that it's actually not great. I should probably actually grab this Spellbinder now I'm thinking about it, because that keeps my bones around longer. And my, keeps my bones, my rune tracers, and my Santa water around longer. Let's keep doing Lightning Ring, just because. would kill a lot of 3D printer businesses. Yeah, and my problem is, like, I never want to just say, like, I always hate the argument of, like, this will kill X business, because sometimes, like, maybe that business is not okay. So from my perspective, you know, having my shirt stolen, yeah, I probably damaged a number of businesses trying to enforce my copyright, but I can't say that I'm the villain in this situation because, you know, it was mine to begin with. And then they didn't have my permission. And so I think ultimately the easiest way to think about it is, wow, holy shit, there was a bunch of stuff stacked up. How many levels was that? That was like 6. Damn. It sucks if a business closes, but if it only exists off of an IP that's not theirs, yeah, that's kind of the issue. It's like if I wanted to make my own, what's a good example? If I wanted to make my own Mickey Mouse TV show, like, it's really nothing but on me, when I get shut down. This is gonna be a hot take, and I know people don't like it. Pokemon fan games. I have very little pity for them when they get shut down a little bit, because as unfortunate as it is, you know, to see all this creative energy being put in, Nintendo is particularly, I should probably have actually picked spinach there, now I'm thinking about it. Nintendo is almost famously unfriendly towards fan games kind of in that manner. You'd actually have a much better shot with like a Mega Man game, because I know Capcom specifically said they're not going to go after fan games, at least recently, so there's at least some level of support there. Whereas Nintendo, like, straight up will take out, you know, fan tournaments for Smash Bros. And a bunch of other things. And, like, Nintendo gets weirdly spiteful. I'm actually quite surprised that they have the reputation that they do. It's really just that their games are good, but they are aggressive. And honestly, like, it's entirely fair. Let's see, Percy Jackson and a couple other things shouldn't exist. Well, what? Because it's based off of... Yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain point when you start kind of losing the script as far as, like, it needs to be fully original. Oh shit, I should not be pushing through those. Okay, where's my clock? There it is. There we go. But, like, I always am kind of disappointed and surprised when people are, like, really upset over, like, a Pokemon fan game getting shut down. Not necessarily because, like, I don't understand why they're upset. You know, obviously it's kind of a shame to lose some promising fan games. I was a big fan of Pokemon Uranium when I played it, but it's also kind of one of those where it's like, but it's Nintendo. And especially because the Koromon exists, and Monster Crown exists, and that's probably going to sound a little weird to people that haven't heard of either of those games. Nexomon, another good example. All of which are games that are very much overtly Pokemon fan games. However, the big difference between them is that Koromon, Monster Crown, and Nexomon are all legally distinct. Now, obviously, it's very, very thinly veiled, but it's enough that, like, holds up in court. And so whenever I see all these, like, Pokemon fan games that get slapped, I'm like, you could have just rebranded and made, like, a kind of original thing, and then none of this would have been a problem. And so, like, I don't want to say that, like, fan games shouldn't be made, but I feel like if you want to make a fan game, cool, but before you put it online, you rebrand it as something not fan game, and you just advertise it as a kind of spiritual successor, or a you know, a slightly more derivative product, saying, you know, I'm a big fan of Pokemon, and so I wanted to make my own Monster Collection RPG, and, you know, maybe you tweak a couple of things, but, like, game mechanics aren't, like, you can't copyright them most of the time. There are a couple that were, and I don't actually believe that should have been a thing. Let's see. But so for stuff like Fate Stay Night, it's a little bit more defensible because all of those characters are more kind of a historical thing. It's kind of like arguing that because, what would be a good example? It'd be like including George Washington in something, and somebody goes after you for being unoriginal, and it's like, yeah, but it's like George Washington at this point. Like how Adventure Time had Abraham Lincoln on the freaking moon, or Star Trek had Abraham Lincoln in a couple of different configurations. Like that's kind of the point where it starts opening up a little bit more, and you're just kind of like, yeah, at that point it's so like baked into our like cultural background. And that's how you get Craftopia and Palworld. And honestly, I'm actually gonna say I really am looking forward to Palworld, because it's the most heinous bastardization I have ever seen of a game. You know, what if we had Pokemon, but it's like an open world sandbox game, but also with guns and, you know, major rights violations, and it's just absolutely nonsense product. But at the same time, you know, that operating in that like weird space where it's like super clear what they're trying to do, but at the same time they're very actively trying to, you know, make their own thing, because, you know, otherwise they're gonna get wrecked. And like, I gotta respect them for that. And also, I thought Craftopia was a pile of garbage when I first played it, and then I played it again recently and I was like, wow, this game is actually like not bad. The moment I saw the AR-15 while hanging off a Pokemon's leg, I died. It's so wrong, and yet I'm fine with it. There's a balance between protecting IP owners so people aren't immediately losing their IP, and allowing people to use it so we get iteration stuff and such. But I mean, the easiest way to do that division there is very much just like, hey, is that a Pokemon? No, it's a Mokamon. What's the difference? Branding. Okay. Like, obviously there's designs and a couple other things, but like, as long, like, if you want to be shameless about it, you can, and you're just gonna get slapped around in like, reviews. But if it's like a monster collection game, and maybe instead of PP, you're using, you know, just an MP bar, and I'm trying to think of some other good examples here. We still haven't actually got our final passive. Oh, boy, that must have been, one of the dense ones. Cool. Love it when that happens. Why is this working? I usually get absolutely slapped around by the werewolf wave, but this is, like, actually really strong. There's a limit to what you can protect. So the idea of monsters you can collect, travel with, etc. cannot be protected. Have fun using Pikachu, well. And yeah, that's the thing. And so I think the biggest issue I have with a lot of, you know, derivative games is just a utter, stunning lack of originality. I don't know how many of you guys saw my Nexomon Extinction series last year. Really loved that game. The gameplay sucked. It was not fun. It was a really boring Pokemon clone. And I have, like, I have major issues with that level of just like, we're just gonna make a Pokemon game without actually like thinking about what makes Pokemon good. And so like all the attacks in that game were just garbage and not fun. And you really, I don't know. It was a busted and not very well put together game. I just didn't care. Do I actually want to get the crown? I could go for the stone mask, but I wonder if the crown would be better at this state. Or do we go for the... I'm trying to think of which is going to make the most amount of money once I'm in the state where I'm getting tons of EXP. I guess I'm going to keep going Clock Lancet for the time being because it doesn't matter. Oh, right, spinach. That was the one that I should probably pick up. Though I'm not actually sure if I need it. This is working pretty damn well, actually. Let's see. I can't quite stand where I am, but the Santa water works like really well at keeping enemies off of me. No, actually, I really could just kind of hang out and not move. Weird. Nope. Speaking of games, I was looking at your Patreon. I really wanted to suggest a game, but I couldn't figure out what two of the game sponsors are. I believe it's the it should be the most expensive one. I can't have too many people actively sponsoring games, just because I'm months behind for a couple of folks. Though much of that is my fault. I don't know if Josh is around. He probably isn't at the moment. But dude suggested Lobotomy Corporation. Now I'm doing a Lobotomy Corporation series. He suggested Skyward Sword. like months ago, and we're in the process of recording a whole damn series on Skyward Sword, because the guy has our number and knows specifically what's going to make us stick around for like a full run of a game, and is driving me nuts. And so I've got to specifically be oh my god, this is getting nuts. They're having trouble getting to me, but still, please die. Please, I realize that you're just being stun locked by endless boning, but still. I wonder what happens if you pick up a chest, but you're full up on items. Would it just give you something random? Maybe. It just does coin bag? Got it. That honestly makes way more sense. Let's see. Is this the game's music? Because your YouTube videos had different music. No. So if you look at the bottom left corner, that is actually the song that is currently playing. I don't necessarily know if the developer has changed the music that they put into the game, but unfortunately, it's copyrighted. And so kind of on the topic of everything, oh boy, hi. Yeah, I can't profit off of the musician's work because the developer didn't buy a proper license to get access to the music. And so, it's topical. It's annoying, but it's fine because that there's, you know, there are alternatives. You know, kind of the whole, well, can't listen to the game soundtrack, but you know what I can listen to? I can listen to Pretzel Rocks, which is... Yeah, so they could have actually bought the music, bought the license to the music to include in the game, but there's a separate layer of kind of licensing for YouTube protection, or YouTube protections, YouTube whitelisting. And so quite a number of developers specifically don't do that, and it is really annoying. Oh, is that Dane? Is there a Dane? Dane, did I see you go by? I can't believe pigeon meta is real. The pigeon is the best item in the game now. By and far. Also, this is nuts. I mean, honestly, every time I play Vampire Survivors, it very much just kind of makes me rethink everything. This is run specifically with no evolved items, because I was like, yeah, how's that gonna perform? The answer is like, bafflingly good. This is honestly better than the pigeon run. I don't think as far as DPS goes, and maybe not even kills, but like, I might be able to just leave and come back and maybe be okay. Yeah, base pigeon is still more rough than the axe as far as underperforming until it gets evolved. Oh, absolutely. But I can safely say that the pigeon meta is very much worth investing towards. You've just got to find some things that make it good. Oh, what is going to happen? Oh, hi. Okay. It does give money. Answer my own question, I guess. Hey, duplicator. I was waiting for that to show up. I should probably go get some of this EXP. The problem is plants aren't like worth any EXP, so it's not really worth pursuing normally. There we go. This is so many numbers. Let's see. So how does garlic evolve now? So both pigeons combine together to make like super pigeon, and garlic combines with Pumarola, the little red heart, to give you kind of like a leech field AoE. It's not great though. Boomerangs are always out. That's insane. Empty Tome I think Empty Tome is the best passive item in the game by far, because it's a 50% cooldown reduction or something. What is my cooldown reduction? 45%. Which effectively pretty close to 50%. And so yeah, I'm just spitting. And it means pretty much nothing can touch me. Oh, plants do drop gems. Do they? Huh. I guess they're just kind of weirdly tough, and I usually assume they don't drop anything because they just disappear after a time. Though, not here, I guess. There's not really a whole lot of reason for me to go out and grab things. I guess extra money is nice, but pain in the butt. Because yeah, this is not a build that clears things quickly. It just does so much AoE and has so many projectiles that nothing can get close to me. But if I want to go anywhere, I'm actually going to have to struggle a bit. It's fun to watch, though. See how far you get standing still? Okay. I'm just not going to move for the rest of this run. If I die whatever the run... The run is a rousing success. Who cares? It's just the question of, now that the build is done, am I in danger? And I think that's going to be our next build. The, Red Ring of Death. So we'd want Pigeon, Book, Santa Water, and probably the Magic Wand. And then maybe Axe. Not Garlic. I find Garlic, even in its upgraded state, I still find Garlic kind of underwhelming. But the big issue with the Garlic is specifically, it's not a big AoE. And so, like, specifically if I had Garlic right now, I already said Tom, if I had Garlic right now, it would be doing nothing. Whereas the book specifically has, like, a little bit better knockback. Okay, the boss is making me a little worried. I might have to dodge this. Okay, chat, decide. Do I not move, or do I die? Do I dodge the boss, or do I just go down bravely standing? Move, dodge, dodge, dodge. Okay. I didn't need to. Sweet. I moved like a step, and then it died. I really could have just waited a little bit further. It's fine. And now, once we get less plants, this should get a little easier, because oddly enough, the plants are like the tankiest shits. Whereas these like weird plant ladies... Yeah, those are plant ladies. They're not nearly as tough. Got duplicator last, super lucky. Oh yeah, glad I did. I'm out of water. I need to beg Shell for some water. I mean, I guess I could walk off. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I got 4 minutes to live. I'll be right back. Just to flex. Well, this is working out so far so well. I really should probably move around a little bit at some point just to get all that EXP. But like... I mean, I guess it would get me the money. Yeah. Alright, I'll be right back again. I don't think they've gotten any closer. I'm actually pretty impressed. But I've also managed to go to the bathroom, which feels nice. I always hate that when I'm doing like a roguelike run or something like that and I need to pee. Oh, the ghost waves are starting to show up. That's a little spooky. Hey. Forgot, mind spacing, what makes an indie game again? It's a little rough and a little vague. I would say an indie game mostly has to do more with size and scope than even who it is. Because I would actually say that Child of Light is an indie game, even though it is technically AAA. But the traditional definition of an indie game is a game that has no large-scale publisher. But I think it's more of kind of a flavor thing. What would be a good example? It'd be like food trucks. Like, you're gonna have a wide variety of food trucks, but food truck food is always gonna have a completely different flavor and kind of ambiance compared to like a fancy sit-down restaurant or a fast food place. Even if they're making the same food, it's still a different vibe. Yeah, also franchise stores are big. There's a lot of other things. I guess we should move around a little bit, largely just so I can get some of this EXP and make a buck off of it. Let's see. So, kind of the easy distinctions are, an indie game is, well, I mean, this is an indie game. What would be a good one? Hollow Knight, also an indie game. Completely different levels of budget and style and quality, but also an indie game. Let's see. AA game would be like Remnant from the Ashes. Even though I believe that was published specifically by, I want to say that was published by 2K. Was it 2K or was it like Gearbox or something? It was a bigger publisher, but I'd still say that game is a AA. Very much kind of raw, unfinished game, but well done. In kind of its own right. Same thing with like, what are some other good examples of, whoa, I must have picked up one of the really dense red cripes. Okay then. That's what I get for not moving. Remnant was Perfect World. That's what it was. Right. But they got bought out by Embracer Group now, who is 2K. That's what it is. Trying to think of some other good examples of like AA games. I'd argue that like maybe once you get up to like Torchlight 2 as well, that was kind of AA. Still kind of an indie vibe, but still AA-ish. What are some other good ones? Oh, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Probably say that's a AA game. Deathloop. No, I'd say Deathloop goes on full AAA. What about ongoing things like Warframe or Dead by Daylight? I don't know about Dead by Daylight just because I haven't played it. I'd say Warframe is AA. Namely because, once again, they're full independent, but I wouldn't call them indie anymore. You know, the budget is too big, the game is too big. But honestly, like, I feel like our definitions for indie, AA, and AAA, like, that's way too small to cover such a wide range. Because even at this point, like, let's go with, oh gosh, what's an easy example? I mean, the quality differential between like a Square Enix JRPG compared to Scarlet Nexus, like there are just such wildly different levels of product that I feel like you need 10 more tiers here. You can't just separate it down into 3. It still killed me anyway. Almost made it up to level 100. Alright, we're going to do at least one more run. We're going to do one where I try to not move for as long as possible. Let's do it on the library just because.